Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. I'm going to be recreating the makeup from an iconic musical. So I love musicals, and today I'm going to be recreating Ann Miller's makeup in the musical Easter Parade. I really love the idea of doing the makeup from the film and talking about their life and researching their life. So today I'm going to be doing Ann Miller's life and death and everything in between. I will be popping what I do on my face with the products below, so I don't have to stop talking about Ann Miller while I'm doing this. So let's get to it. Ann Miller was born on the 12th of April in 1923 in Chirino, Texas. Her real name is Johnny Lucille Collier, which, let's face it, is a fantastic name. She changes it later on in her life when she starts dancing. She was born to parents Clara Emma and John Alfred Collier, who is super interested in himself because he was a criminal lawyer and he represented people like Machine Gun Kelly, obviously the original, and Babyface Nelson. Ann Miller was also part Cherokee, and it was from her grandmother that she gets this. As a child, Ann Miller was considered a dance prodigy. She started when she was 5, and it's because she had rickets. Her parents thought that this would strengthen her legs if she started dancing. She danced all the way through up until her parents' divorce, where she ended up dancing in nightclubs. So actually she was just a teenager, but she got away with it because she looked a lot older than she actually was. In fact, when she was working at the Black Cat Club in San Francisco, she was only 13 years old, and she told the people who hired her she was 18. During this time, she dances and she learns how to machine gun tap, which is when they do it super, super quickly, and got noticed by RKO and ended up signing a contract with them. Her father writes her up a false birth certificate claiming she was 18, and then she ended up starring opposite Ginger Rogers in the film Stage Door in 1938, which is so young. Like, imagine lying about your age and ending up on set with Ginger Rogers. Like, that's insane. So during the 40s, she did a couple more films, and then when World War II came along, she did a lot of pin-up pictures and cheesecake. So these are pictures that would be like sent out to the troops, and you could buy them and they would boost morale. And thanks to her fame during these years, she managed to land a contract with MGM. So MGM did super famous musicals like Easter Parade. They also did On the Town and Kiss Me Kate. So every so often I'm going to pop in a fun fact about Ann Miller during my story about her. Fact number 1. She apparently invented tights or pantyhose in the 40s. Because she was filming so many dance numbers and tearing stockings, she asked for them to be sewn to her pants. And that meant she had an all-in-one garment that she could just take on and take off without having to bother with. So Ann Miller had quite a tragic personal life. She was married 3 times, the first in 1946 to a man called Reese Llewellyn Milner, who was a steel magnate with a cattle ranch. He turned out to be abusive. And then in 1958, she married another man called William Bill Moss, a Texas oil millionaire who was also abusive and sadly broke her arm. In 1961, she married Arthur Cameron, but they were only married for just a year, but they stayed friends, so that's nice, I guess. In between marriages, she had quite a string of very famous boyfriends like Howard Hughes, Conrad Hilton and Louis B. Mayer. So, you know, she's not playing around. Ann Miller didn't have any children that lived past infancy. She got pregnant once in her first marriage, but as I said earlier, this marriage was sadly abusive, and Milner threw her down the stairs in her last trimester of pregnancy. Not only did Ann Miller break her back during this incident, but sadly the baby Mary only lived for 3 hours. And in fact, while she was lying in her hospital bed, Louis V. Mayer, one of her earlier boyfriends, came to visit her and told her that this would never have happened if she had married him instead of Milner. Not quite the sympathy I think she was hoping for. Because she was on contract while she broke her back, she actually ended up filming Shaking the Blues Away from Easter Parade in a back brace. And if you've seen that film, you would never ever know that she was wearing a back brace. I did not know that until I did my research on this. Okay, so that little bit of information was quite dark, quite deep. So now it's time for another fun fact about Ann Miller. So she was famous for being the fastest tap dancer in Hollywood. The press basically popped out that she could tap 500 times a minute. Unfortunately, they never managed to capture this on set because all the floors were waxed and she had to wear rubber shoes because of this. So she re-recorded all of her taps afterwards in a soundstage. I like to believe that she could do 500 taps a minute, and if you've watched any of her films where she does big dance numbers, it's kind of hard to doubt. So by the mid-50s, the big studios were starting to lose out to television, and this meant it was kind of the end of Ann Miller's film career. But she went on to star in TV shows such as Love Boat, and she did lots of Broadway shows as well, like Chicago, Sugar Babies, 42nd Street, and Follies, which she did with Mickey Rooney. In the 90s, she had appearances on Home Improvement, and in 2001, she played her last role, in which she was playing a character called Coco in Mulholland Drive. Okay, so I can't do this makeup video without talking about Ann Miller's nose. Very early in her career, she had a nose job, which was kind of botched, and they took too much off and it had a very slim appearance. They also left a dent in her nose that had to be covered with a prosthetic for a lot of her beauty shots. Because her nose was so slim, it also gave her face like a roundness, and it gave her the appearance of having quite big cheeks. There aren't many examples of her nose before the surgery because she started so young and she had her nose job so early on in her career. But the reason that they wanted her to have a nose job, when I say they, I mean the studio executives, obviously, is because they thought her nose was like a bit big and maybe a bit hooked. And I've read a couple of times that they described her appearance as like nerdy, which is real strange to me. But they wanted her to have this like beautiful model pin-up look. So fact 3. Miller thought that in a past life she was Hatshepsut, the first queen of Egypt, who Anne insisted was murdered, and when she visited Egypt she would just cry and cry. On her last visit she was shown a sarcophagus of a female pharaoh by a security guard, and as she got nearer, Anne claimed she was bitten by an asp just as Cleopatra was. Anne was flown out by helicopter and spent 3 weeks in hospital. She said, "It was a warning. The spirits didn't want me to return here." It's also been claimed that she said, "I've been recycled many times. My hand has so many lifelines it looks like an old monkey's paw." So safe to say she believes in reincarnation. Ann Miller died on the 22nd of February 2004, aged 80, from lung cancer, and her remains are buried next to her mother's in the Holy Cross Cemetery in Culver City, California. When Ann Miller died, her daughter Mary's coffin was exhumed and buried on top of Ann Miller's, so they're always together, which I think is just really nice. She never forgot her daughter. Ann Miller has a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame and a Palm Star on the Palm Springs, California Walk of Stars. Ann Miller had a favourite pair of tap shoes, which were called Mo and Joe, and you can find those in the Smithsonian. So there we go, that is the life and times of Ann Miller. I hope you enjoyed this video. I really enjoyed doing all the research for it, so let me know if you liked it, and also let me know what stars you think I should do next. I'm really interested to hear your opinion on that, and do you have any fun facts about Ann Miller? So if you like this, please like it, subscribe to the channel, and tell your friends, and all of that good stuff, and I hope to see you around. Bye!